As Norwich University enters its year of transformation, we had the opportunity to sit down with a man who has overseen vast changes across the Norwich athletics landscape, Athletic Director Mr. Tony Mariano. Tony's Norwich story begins back in the 1970s when he arrived on the Hill first as a graduate student and eventually as a coach. In part one of our two-part interview, we sat down with Mariano to ask about his humble Norwich beginnings, how the athletic facilities have changed over time here at Norwich, and also how coaching and recruiting has changed over the years.
Well, my journey actually started in 1974-75 when I became a graduate student at Norwich and really became familiar with the university, and the university became familiar with me. And then the job of head soccer coach, assistant hockey coach opened up at Norwich, and I think probably because of my previous relationship with Norwich and the fact that I think they appreciated the effort that I put in while I was there, was offered the job and had a great experience coaching soccer and an assistant hockey coach under Bob Priestley, and learned a lot in those first couple of years, and it was a tremendous experience for me. I think from the standpoint that I never really expected to be at the college level, and that was really exciting. And then after about 4 years, there was a need for a hockey coaching change at Norwich, and I had applied for the position, was an assistant, and I think the administration saw the type of job I did with soccer in bringing that team from having 10 losing seasons to an ECAC playoff team. They offered me that position as well. I did have that position as soccer coach and hockey coach for 2 years, which was really difficult, and eventually dropped soccer and took over hockey. And that was a tremendous experience as well, being able to coach college hockey after having played collegiate hockey at the Division I level. But I always had in the back of my mind that someday I wouldn't be coaching. I'd want to do something else in athletics. And the athletic director's position came available, and I had to make a choice whether I wanted to continue coaching or take this position, and I made the decision that at that time in my life it probably was the right move for me to make. So I stepped down from the hockey coaching position and took over as athletic director, and been here ever since. And that position as athletic director has been and still is extremely rewarding, very challenging, and one that I have no regrets of taking. So it's been a great journey. It's been a long journey, and one that has been very, very rewarding. Well, where we're sitting now, it used to be tennis courts, and Andrews Hall was not here when I first came. Kreitzberg Arena certainly wasn't here, and Shapiro Fieldhouse wasn't here. And you know, the addition to Andrews Hall was tremendous at the time, because we had our coaches crammed in the Plumley Armory, and there really wasn't a lot of space. The gym was not a great facility for basketball, and to be able to have the locker room space that we had here was tremendous. So that move, looking back at it, was a great transformation for us at Norwich. And then we were fortunate enough to have Shapiro Fieldhouse built, and certainly we took advantage of that facility, especially in the winter when the weather was such that we couldn't get outside. And I think our spring teams really took advantage of that, as well as certainly the other teams on campus. And then obviously the addition of Kreitzberg Arena has been just a phenomenal facility for us. Taylor Arena was a great old barn, a lot of great memories, but it was outdated, and I think it really hurt us in trying to recruit the top student athletes in that program. So having Kreitzberg Arena was certainly a great benefit to us. And Sabine Field, you know, was a great field, great memories. But again, I think it was another facility that was old. We only used it 5 times a year. It was kind of wasted space at that point, and to be able to have a multi-surface field with lights really has extended our opportunities for our student athletes. Night games, provided a better and an exciting atmosphere for not only our student athletes but our fans to come and watch our students play. And that's been a tremendous addition to our facility. So there has been a lot of changes, but certainly all for the positive. When I first came here, the coaches that coached were also professors in the physical education department, and it was an entirely different makeup of the athletic department. So they were mostly full-time coaches that had dual responsibilities in athletics and in teaching. And being part of that, that's one of the things that I truly missed, because you got the opportunity to associate with students that weren't athletes, along with your own athletes in your program. And then in the late 80s, early 90s, the decision was made that the coaches would no longer be a part of the physical education program and would have to start just coaching. And at that point, we saw a lot of part-time coaches come into play. And so we tried to progress from there and tried to at least get the institution and the administration to see the value of full-time coaches. And we have been successful in having full-time coaches here, although we still have 4 part-time head coaches, which, you know, at some point I would love to be able to see those programs have full-time head coaches. But we've been able to hire a full-time men's lacrosse coach in Neil Anderson that has had a tremendous effect on the program. And certainly with the introduction of our new women's programs in volleyball, women's lacrosse, and women's ice hockey, those coaches have been full-time coaches, and I think we've seen the benefits of that in the success of the programs as they have moved along in time. The full-time coaches certainly have an advantage in the recruiting aspect of Norwich, and recruiting has changed tremendously. It's a whole different ball of wax and a whole different game now, where there's so much competition for the better student athletes that our coaches have to be constantly on the road, constantly on the phone, talking and emailing with student athletes to try to convince them that Norwich is a great place to go to school and participate in athletics. And that's been a huge change, and I'm hoping that, you know, we can continue to improve on moving part-time coaches to full-time coaches. We've added some assistant coaches to help the head coaches in that process and in recruiting, and I think that's shown great benefits. But we need to continue to progress and hope that we're able to make those changes, because it only benefits the student athletes that are here and the future student athletes that would come to Norwich.
In our next installment, we will discuss what actual sports have changed at Norwich, what has been added to varsity status, and what sports have gone away over time. We will also touch on the ever-evolving college conference landscape. This video was produced by Norwich Athletic Communications.